Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the colony ship Resolute, watching the blue and green planet grow larger on the main screen. New Terra looked perfect for human life. Rivers sparkled like silver threads across green continents. White. Clouds drifted over vast oceans. After 6 months in space, the sight made his heart race with excitement. "Beginning final approach, Captain," said Lieutenant Tony Martinez from the pilot's seat. His hands moved quickly over the controls. The ship's engines hummed quietly as they adjusted course. Jake smiled and activated the ship's communication system. "Attention all colonists. This is Captain Morrison. We will land on New Terra in 2 hours. Please prepare for final descent." Throughout the ship, 8,000 colonists began their landing preparations. Dr. Lisa Grant packed her research equipment in the science lab. She had spent months planning experiments for the new world. Engineer Carlos Rivera checked the construction. Robots one last time. They would build the first settlement in just days. In the passenger sections, families gathered their belongings. Children pressed their faces against small windows, pointing at the approaching planet. Parents talked excitedly about their new homes. Everyone felt hopeful about starting fresh on this beautiful world. Jake walked through the ship's corridors, checking on different sections. In the medical bay, Dr. Susan Clark organized supplies for the colony's first hospital. She had trained for this mission for 3 years. "Everything ready, Doctor?" Jake asked. "All set, Captain." "We're prepared for any medical emergency," Susan replied with confidence. The landing went smoothly. Resolute touched down in a wide valley near a clear river. The colonists cheered as they felt solid ground beneath their feet for the first time in months. Within hours, construction robots began building the first structures. By evening, a small town was taking shape. Jake stood outside the ship as the sun set over New Terra. The air smelled fresh and clean. Birds flew overhead, making musical sounds. "This is it," he said to Lisa Grant, who stood beside him. "Humanity's 15th colony world." "The others will be jealous when they see our reports," Lisa laughed. "This place is paradise." Neither of them knew that eyes watched them from space. High above New Terra's atmosphere, invisible ships recorded everything. The Watchers had been following human expansion for decades. They did not like what they saw. Far across the galaxy, on the capital world of the Zephyrian Empire, Admiral Kethvar read the latest reports. His blue skin darkened with anger as he studied the information. The furry creatures they called humans had now spread to 15 worlds. Each year they built more colonies. Each year they grew stronger. Kethvar walked through the halls of the High Council building. The structure was massive, built from black stone that reached toward the sky. Inside, representatives from 3 alien species waited for him. The Kethani were tall and blue-skinned like himself. The Vorth looked like giant insects with 4 arms. The Nexari appeared almost human, but with large black eyes and pale skin. "Honored council members," Kethvar began as he entered the meeting chamber. "The human expansion continues. They now control 15 star systems. Their population grows by millions each year." Council leader Mordak, a elderly Kethani with scars across his face, leaned forward. "How many ships do they have now?" "Over 3,000 vessels," Kethvar replied. "Both military and civilian. Their technology improves rapidly. They learn from every species they meet." The Vorth representative, Zixpol, clicked his mandibles nervously. "My people remember the old warnings. Species that expand too quickly become dangerous. They consume everything in their path." Nexari Council member Telnara spoke with her mind, her thoughts appearing in everyone's heads. I have touched the minds of humans during our secret observations. They are aggressive and adaptable. They do not respect the old boundaries between territories. Mordak stood up slowly. His voice carried the weight of authority. For 1,000 years, our three species have maintained peace in this galaxy. We divided the stars fairly between us. We respect each other's space, but these humans, they take whatever they want. Kethvar activated a holographic display showing human territory. Red dots marked their colonies. Lines showed their trade routes. Look at their pattern of growth. They move in all directions. In 50 years, they will border our space. In 100 years, they may challenge our authority. The council chamber fell silent. Each member understood the implications. They had seen aggressive species before. Some had been contained through diplomacy, others had been destroyed through war. But humans seemed different. They adapted faster than any species. The council had encountered. Zixpol spoke first. What do you recommend, Admiral? Kethvar had prepared for this question. The Crimson Protocol, he said simply. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Crimson Protocol was the Empire's most extreme measure. It meant the complete destruction of an entire species. The Council had only authorized it twice in their long history. Telnara's mental voice carried shock. Total extermination? Are you certain this is necessary? Observe their behavior, Kethvar replied, changing the holographic display. They modify planets to suit their needs. They reproduce faster than most species. They create new technologies by combining ideas from different cultures. Most importantly, they have no respect for established boundaries. Mordak studied the data carefully. What threat level do you assign to humanity? Level 9, Kethvar answered without hesitation. Maximum threat. If we wait, they will be too strong to stop. The council members looked at each other. Level 9 threats were extremely rare. The last species to receive this classification had conquered half the galaxy before the Empire stopped them. All in favor of authorizing the Crimson Protocol against the human species? Mordak asked formally. 3 hands rose. 3 minds agreed. The vote was unanimous. Kethvar felt grim satisfaction. I will begin preparations immediately. The attack will be coordinated across all human worlds simultaneously. We will strike their colonies, their home world, and their ships in space. None must survive. As he left the council chamber, Kethvar began planning humanity's extinction. He studied maps of human space, calculating the forces needed for each target. The operation would require most of the Empire's military strength, but it would be worth it. When finished, the galaxy would be safe from human expansion. On New Terra, Jake Morrison watched the stars come out in the alien sky. He felt peaceful and proud. Humanity had come so far from their original home world. Each new colony represented hope for the future. Each successful settlement proved that humans could thrive anywhere. He had no idea that those same stars hid ships preparing for war. The countdown to humanity's darkest hour had already begun. Commander Alex Turner was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the bridge of Defense Station Guardian. The coffee spilled across the floor, forgotten in the panic that followed. "Report!" Alex shouted as he reached his command chair. Lieutenant Ben Hayes looked up from his sensor station, his face pale with shock. Sir, we have massive contacts dropping out of hyperspace. Multiple ships, larger than anything in our database. Alex stared at the main screen. Huge alien vessels appeared like ghosts, materializing from nothing. Each ship was 3 times the size of humanity's largest battleship. Their hulls were dark and covered with weapon ports. Red lights pulsed along their sides like angry eyes. "How many?" Alex asked, though he feared the answer. 47 capital ships, sir, plus hundreds of smaller vessels. They're moving into attack formation. Alex activated the emergency communication system. "All Earth Defense Force units, this is Guardian Station. We have hostile alien vessels entering Earth space. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." On Earth below, billions of people went about their normal morning routines. In New York, businessman Pete Williams grabbed breakfast before heading to work. In Los Angeles, teacher Amy Foster was starting her first class of the day. None of them knew that death was falling from the sky. The alien fleet moved with terrible purpose. Their ships spread out in perfect formations, targeting every major city on Earth. Communications arrays, military bases, and spaceports received priority targeting. The aliens had studied human civilization carefully. They knew exactly how to cripple it. "Incoming transmission from the lead alien vessel," reported Communications Officer Rachel Moore. "Put it through," Alex ordered. The main screen filled with the image of Admiral Kethvar. His blue skin seemed to glow with inner light. His black eyes showed no emotion as he spoke. "Human creatures, I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species has been judged a threat to galactic peace. By order of the High Council, all humans will be eliminated. This action is final and without appeal." Alex stepped forward. "Admiral, we can discuss this. Humanity wants peace with all species. There's no need for violence." Kethavar's expression did not change. "Your expansion ends today. Your colonies will burn. Your homeworld will be cleansed. There will be no survivors." The transmission cut off. "Sir, they're powering weapons," Ben Hayes called out. "Energy readings are off the charts." Alex knew Guardian Station could not fight so many ships, but he had to try. "All stations, fire at will. Take as many of them with us as you can." Guardian's weapons opened fire first. Plasma bolts and missile volleys struck the nearest alien ship. The impacts caused small explosions across its hull, but the vessel kept coming. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. The alien response was overwhelming. Dozens of ships fired simultaneously. Beams of pure energy struck Guardian Station from multiple angles. The station's shields flared brightly, then collapsed under the assault. Secondary explosions ripped through the hull. "Hull breach on levels 5 through 12, reported the damage control officer. "We're losing life support." Alex felt the station shaking apart around him. Through the observation windows, he could see the alien fleet beginning its bombardment of Earth. Beams of light reached down from orbit like fingers of death. Where they touched, cities disappeared in brilliant flashes. "Get word to the colonies," Alex ordered as sparks flew from damaged consoles. "Tell them Earth is under attack. Tell them to run." Ben Hayes worked frantically at his damaged station. "I'm trying, sir, but the aliens are jamming all long-range communications." Another massive explosion shook Guardian Station. The lights went out, replaced by the red glow of emergency power. Alex could hear the station's metal structure groaning under the stress of battle damage. On the surface of Earth, the bombardment had begun in earnest. New York disappeared in a column of fire that reached the clouds. London vanished in a flash of light. Tokyo, Berlin, and Sydney followed moments later. The aliens were methodical and thorough. They targeted not just cities, but farms, factories, and any sign of human civilization. Pete Williams was in his office when the beam struck Manhattan. The building around him turned to vapor in an instant. Millions of others died just as quickly. Never knowing what hit them, the aliens showed no mercy. Children, elderly people, and anyone else who could not fight died alongside Earth's soldiers. In the countryside, some people saw the distant flashes and tried to run. Maria Santos was working in her garden when the sky lit up with explosions. She grabbed her 2 children and headed for the forest. Behind them, their small town erupted in flames as alien ground forces landed. The Zephyrian ground troops were efficient killers. They moved through the ruins of human cities, hunting any survivors. Their sensors could detect human life signs from miles away. Special teams searched underground bunkers and hidden shelters. Orders were clear. No human could be allowed to live. Dr. Susan Clark was in her research laboratory when the attack began. She watched the orbital bombardment through a small window, tears streaming down her face. Her life's work, her friends, her world, everything was being destroyed. She managed to send one final message before the lab's power failed. Remember us. Remember what they did. Guardian Station finally broke apart under the alien assault. Alex Turner died at his post, still trying to coordinate Earth's defense. His last words, transmitted on emergency frequencies, were heard by scattered human ships across the galaxy. Earth has fallen. Save yourselves. Make them pay. The bombardment continued for 6 hours. When it ended, Earth was a burning wasteland. The blue oceans had turned black with ash. The green continents were scarred with massive craters. The atmosphere glowed with radioactive fire. 15 billion people had lived on Earth that morning. By evening, less than 1 million survived in scattered groups, but the attack on Earth was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on every human world. The aliens had planned their assault perfectly. Simultaneous attacks hit all 15 colonies at the same moment. Communication between worlds was cut off. No colony could warn the others or call for help. On New Terra, Captain Jake Morrison watched enemy ships appear in his peaceful sky. He managed to evacuate some colonists into the deep forests before the bombing started. On Haven, Maria Santos led refugees through underground caves as alien soldiers burned the settlements above. On dozens of other worlds, small groups of humans hid in whatever shelter they could find. The Zephyrian Empire's plan worked perfectly. In less than 24 hours, human civilization was destroyed. Cities lay in ruins. Governments had collapsed. Military forces were scattered or eliminated. The aliens surveyed their work with satisfaction. Humanity appeared to be extinct. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth burn. The planet that had given birth to humanity was now a graveyard. Smoke and ash covered the continents. No radio signals came from the surface. No ships moved in Earth's space. Status report from all fleets, Kethvar ordered. All targets destroyed, Admiral, his aide reported. Human military resistance has ceased. Colony worlds are secured. Population centers eliminated. We estimate a 99% casualty rate. Kethvar nodded with grim satisfaction. And the remaining 1%? Scattered survivors in remote areas. Our ground forces are hunting them down. They pose no threat. The Admiral looked at the burning planet one last time. The galaxy is safe, he said quietly. The human threat has been eliminated. But Kethvar was wrong. In the ruins of human civilization, something had survived. It was not just scattered. Groups of people hiding in forests and caves. Something else had endured the fire from the stars, the human spirit itself. And that spirit would prove far more dangerous than the Admiral could imagine. 5 years had passed since the fire fell from the stars. In the asteroid belt of the Vega system, Lieutenant Ben Hayes crawled through a narrow tunnel carved into solid rock. His breathing echoed in the small space as he made his way toward the hidden chambers where other survivors waited. Ben had changed much since the day Guardian Station died. His hair had grown long and wild. Scars marked his face from countless battles with alien patrols. His eyes held a hardness that came from watching too many friends die. But he was alive, and that meant something. The tunnel opened into a larger cave. Dozens of humans lived here, hidden deep inside the asteroid. They had built this refuge using salvaged equipment and desperate hope. Metal walls sealed off sections of natural cave. Recycled air systems hummed quietly in the darkness. Hydroponic gardens grew food under artificial lights. "Morning, Lieutenant," said Carlos Rivera as Ben entered the main chamber. The engineer looked tired but determined. He had been working all night on their latest project, a stealth ship built from scrapped alien technology. "Any word from the other groups?" Ben asked. Carlos nodded toward their communication station. "Rachel made contact with the new Terra survivors yesterday. Jake Morrison is still alive. He's got about 300 people hiding in the deep forests." Ben felt relief wash over him. Jake had been like a father to many of the colonists. Knowing he survived gave everyone hope. "What about the others?" Maria Santos checked in from Haven. "Tony Martinez is still operating in the Sol system, believe it or not. He's got a mobile base hidden in the asteroid belt near what used to be Earth." Ben walked to their observation window, a thick piece of salvaged ship's glass that looked out into space. The Vega system looked peaceful from here. No alien ships patrolled these remote areas. The Zephyrians believed humanity was extinct. That mistake was keeping the survivors alive. Dr. Susan Clark entered the chamber carrying a datapad filled with research notes. She had aged rapidly in the 5 years since Earth's fall. Her hair had turned completely gray, but her mind remained sharp, focused on a single goal: revenge. "I've finished analyzing the alien equipment we captured last month," Susan said. "Their technology is impressive, but it has weaknesses. They rely too heavily on central computer systems. Take out the main processor, and their ships become helpless." Ben studied her notes. "Can we exploit that?" "Already working on it," Susan smiled grimly. "But I need more samples. We have to capture another alien vessel. The asteroid base had become humanity's secret laboratory. The survivors had learned to strip apart alien technology and rebuild it for their own use. They studied enemy communication systems, weapon designs, and ship construction. Every piece of equipment they captured taught them something new. Pete Williams entered the chamber, covered in grease from his work in the machine shops. He had been a businessman before the war. Now he was one of their best engineers, able to build weapons from spare parts and determination. "The new stealth coating is ready for testing," Pete announced. "If it works, our ships will be invisible to alien sensors." This was how humanity survived in the darkness between stars. They learned to hide. They learned to steal alien technology. They learned to strike quickly and disappear before the enemy could respond. The Zephyrians had tried to wipe out humanity, but instead they had created something far more dangerous: ghosts in the dark. On the forest world of New Terra, Captain Jake Morrison led his own group of survivors through daily survival routines. They had built their hidden settlement in a deep valley surrounded by mountains. Alien patrols rarely came this far into the wilderness. Jake's people had adapted to life in the forest. They wore clothes made from plant fibers and animal skins. They ate native fruits and hunted local animals. Children who had been born on colony ships now moved through trees like natural forest dwellers. Amy Foster taught the children reading and writing in a classroom carved from living tree roots. She had been a teacher on Earth before the attack. Now she made sure human knowledge would survive, even if human civilization had been destroyed. "Tell us the story again, Teacher Amy," asked one of the children, a girl named Sophie who had never seen a human city. Amy smiled and began the tale that every human child now learned by heart. Long ago, humanity lived on many worlds. We built great cities that touched the sky. We traveled between stars in ships as large as mountains. We were happy and peaceful, sharing our discoveries with other species. The children listened with wide eyes as Amy continued. But some aliens became jealous of human success. They decided to destroy us before we could grow too strong. They attacked all our worlds at once, burning our cities and killing billions of people. Young Sophie raised her hand. "But we survived?" "Yes," Amy replied. "Small groups of humans escaped into the wilderness. We learned to hide, we learned to fight, and we learned to wait for the right moment to strike back. In the underground caves of Haven, Maria Santos led her own band of survivors. They had turned natural cave systems into a hidden city. Geothermal vents provided power. Underground streams supplied fresh water. Mushroom farms fed the population. Maria had become a fierce warrior in the years since the attack. She led raids against alien supply convoys, always striking from unexpected directions. Her people captured weapons, equipment, and prisoners. The prisoners were treated well. Many of them eventually provided valuable intelligence about alien operations. "The enemy patrol schedule has changed," reported one of Maria's scouts. "They're moving in smaller groups now. I think they're getting nervous about our attacks." Maria studied the tactical display showing alien movements. Her people had learned to track enemy forces across entire star systems. They knew the schedules of alien supply ships, the locations of alien bases, and the personal habits of alien commanders. "Good," Maria said. "Fear makes them stupid. Stupid enemies make mistakes, and mistakes get them killed." Across the galaxy, similar groups of human survivors had emerged from the ruins of their civilization. Each group developed its own survival techniques. Some became expert at hiding in asteroid fields. Others learned to live on hostile planets where aliens never traveled. A few groups even managed to blend in with alien populations, posing as refugees from other destroyed species. But the most remarkable development was how these scattered groups began to reconnect with each other. Using captured alien communication technology, they built a secret network that spanned the galaxy. Messages passed from group to group, carrying information about alien movements, successful raid techniques, and morale-boosting news of other survivors. Dr. Susan Clark became the unofficial coordinator of this underground network. Her research into alien technology was shared with all survivor groups. In return, she received reports about alien weaknesses discovered by fighters on dozens of different worlds. "I've been analyzing the intelligence reports," Susan told Ben Hayes during one of their planning sessions. "The alien empire is showing cracks. Their three species don't trust each other completely. The Kethani want to continue hunting human survivors. The Vorth think it's a waste of resources. The Nexari worry about other threats." Ben leaned forward with interest. Can we exploit those divisions? Eventually, yes. But first, we need to become strong enough to matter. Right now, we're just an annoyance to them. We need to become a real threat. The human survivors were indeed becoming something the Zephyrian Empire had not expected. The aliens had planned to destroy a civilization of peaceful colonists and traders. Instead, they had created a galaxy-wide network of desperate fighters who had nothing left to lose. Every raid taught the survivors new lessons. Every captured piece of alien equipment made them stronger. Every successful attack proved that humans could still fight back. The Zephyrians might have destroyed human cities and killed billions of people, but they had not destroyed the human spirit. Rachel Moore, working from her communication station in the Vega asteroid base, sent daily messages to survivor groups across the galaxy. Her reports carried more than just tactical information. They carried hope. Each message proved that humanity still existed, still fought, and still planned for the future. Message to all survivor groups, Rachel transmitted. This is network control. Today marks 5 years since the first attack. In those 5 years, we have rebuilt our strength in the shadows. We have learned our enemy's weaknesses. We have proven that humanity cannot be easily destroyed. She paused, thinking of all the friends and family members who had died in the initial attack. Then she continued with growing determination. The aliens thought they had wiped us out. They were wrong. We are still here. We are still fighting. And soon we will make them pay for what they did to our people. In hidden bases across the galaxy, survivors listened to Rachel's words and felt their own determination grow stronger. The ghosts in the dark were preparing to become something far more dangerous. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon it would be time to haunt their enemies. The alien supply convoy moved through space with confident slowness. 3 cargo ships carried weapons and supplies to Zephyrian bases in the outer systems. Their escort consisted of 2 patrol vessels, barely alert for threats they did not believe existed. Marine veteran Tony Martinez watched the convoy from his hidden position among the asteroids near what had once been Earth. His ship, built from salvaged parts and painted to look like space debris, drifted silently toward the alien formation. Behind him, a crew of 20 human survivors prepared for their most daring raid yet. "Target the escort ships first," Tony whispered into his communication headset. "Remember, we want those cargo ships intact." His crew had trained for months for this moment. They were farmers, teachers, and office workers who had become deadly fighters through necessity. The attack had taken everything from them: homes, families, futures. Now they fought to take something back. "All teams report ready," came the voice of Amy Foster, who had become Tony's second-in-command. The former teacher now coordinated complex military operations with the same patience she had once used to manage classrooms. Tony gave the signal. "Ghost Squadron, begin attack run." 3 human ships emerged from the asteroid field like hunting wolves. They had learned stealth from 5 years of hiding. Their engines ran silent. Their hulls absorbed sensor waves instead of reflecting them. To alien detectors, they appeared to be nothing more than drifting rocks. The attack came as a complete surprise. The escort ships had time to fire only a few shots before human weapons crippled their engines and communication systems. The cargo vessels, unarmed and defenseless, surrendered immediately. "Boarding teams, move in," Tony ordered. Within minutes, human fighters had secured all 3 cargo ships. The alien crews offered little resistance. They had been told humanity was extinct. Finding live humans attacking their convoy left them confused and frightened. Pete Williams led the technical team that began cataloging the captured supplies. "Tony, you need to see this," he called excitedly. "These ships are carrying prototype weapons, stuff I've never seen before." Tony examined the alien equipment with growing interest. Each piece of technology represented new possibilities for the human resistance. But more importantly, this raid proved that humans could strike wherever they wanted. The aliens were no longer safe anywhere. On the other side of the galaxy, Maria Santos was conducting her own operation. Her target was a Zephyrian communication relay station built into an asteroid. The station monitored radio traffic across 3-star systems. Destroying it would blind the aliens to resistance activities in the region. Maria's team approached the asteroid using captured alien shuttles. They wore stolen Zephyrian uniforms and carried forged identification codes. To outside observers, they appeared to be a routine supply mission. "Remember," Maria told her team as they docked with the station, "we need to access their central computer before we destroy this place. Those files could be invaluable." The infiltration went smoothly. Zephyrian security was designed to keep enemies out, not to detect enemies who looked and acted like legitimate personnel. Maria's team reached the station's computer core without raising any alarms. Rachel Moore, the communication specialist, connected her portable equipment to the alien systems. Years of studying captured technology had taught her to read alien computer codes. "I'm downloading everything," she whispered. "Fleet movements, supply schedules, personnel files. This is a treasure trove." While Rachel worked, Maria planted explosive charges throughout the station. When they finished, the entire facility would be reduced to debris. But the information they captured would help plan dozens of future operations. The downloaded files revealed something unexpected. The alien empire was becoming paranoid about human survivors. Intelligence reports mentioned ghost attacks and impossible raids across multiple systems. Some alien commanders were demanding increased security for all installations. But the files also revealed divisions within the alien alliance. The 3 species that made up the Zephyrian Empire were arguing about how to handle the human survivor problem. The Cathani wanted to commit more military forces to hunting down resistance groups. The Vorth considered it a waste of resources. The Nexari proposed negotiating with human leaders. Dr. Susan Clark studied these intelligence reports from her hidden laboratory in the asteroid base. She had become the unofficial coordinator of human resistance activities. Her analysis of alien communications helped plan operations across the galaxy. "The enemy is starting to take us seriously," Susan told Ben Hayes during their daily strategy meeting. "That's good and bad. Good because it means we're actually hurting them. Bad because they'll start hunting us more aggressively." Ben looked at the tactical displays showing human operations across known space. Red dots marked successful raids. Blue dots showed intelligence-gathering missions. Green dots indicated newly established survivor bases. The network was growing larger every month. "How many active resistance cells do we have now?" Ben asked. 47 confirmed groups," Susan replied. "Probably more that haven't made contact yet. Total human population is estimated at 800,000 survivors scattered across the galaxy." The numbers seemed small compared to the billions who had died in the initial attack. But those 800,000 survivors had become something the Zephyrian Empire had never faced before. A distributed enemy that could strike anywhere and disappear into the vast darkness of space. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated forest-based operations from his hidden settlement on New Terra. His people had become experts at ambushing alien ground patrols. They would attack quickly, capture equipment and prisoners, then vanish into the wilderness before reinforcements arrived. "The aliens are changing their patrol patterns," reported one of Jake's scouts. "They're staying closer to their bases, traveling in larger groups. They're definitely scared of something." Jake smiled grimly. Fear was a weapon humans wielded effectively. Every successful attack made the aliens more cautious. More resources were diverted to security. More troops were pulled back from expansion duties to guard existing territories. But the most important development was happening in the hidden laboratories where human scientists studied captured alien technology. Dr. Susan Clark's team had made breakthrough discoveries about Zephyrian engineering principles. They understood alien computer systems, weapon designs, and ship construction methods. "We're not just copying their technology anymore," Susan explained to her research team. "We're improving it. Human engineering approaches are different from alien methods. When we combine the two, we get capabilities neither species had before." The breakthrough came when Pete Williams successfully reverse-engineered an alien stealth system. But instead of simply copying the original design, he combined it with human innovations. The result was a cloaking device far superior to anything the Zephyrians possessed. "This is it," Pete announced excitedly. "Ships equipped with this system will be completely invisible to alien sensors. We can go anywhere, strike any target, and escape without being detected." Within months, human shipyards hidden in asteroid fields began producing small fleets of stealth-equipped vessels. The ships were built from captured alien materials, but designed using human engineering principles. They were faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than equivalent alien vessels. The first major test of these new ships came when Tony Martinez led a strike against a heavily defended Zephyrian supply depot. The facility was protected by an entire squadron of alien warships and surrounded by automated defense platforms. "All ships, maintain stealth formation," Tony ordered as his fleet approached the target. "Remember, we want to be in and out before they know what hit them." The human ships passed through the alien defenses like ghosts through walls. Security sensors detected nothing. Guard ships continued their regular patrols, unaware that enemies moved freely among them. The humans reached the supply depot completely undetected. "All teams, begin the attack now." 20 human vessels opened fire simultaneously from point-blank range. The supply depot's defenses never had a chance to respond. Storage facilities exploded in brilliant flashes. Docked cargo ships disintegrated under concentrated weapons fire. Within minutes, years of accumulated military supplies were reduced to scrap metal and radioactive gas. The alien garrison forces scrambled to respond, but the attackers had already vanished. By the time alien reinforcements arrived, only debris remained to mark the depot's location. No human ships appeared on any sensors. No communication intercepts revealed the attacker's identity. Admiral Kethvar read the battle report with growing unease. This was the 15th major facility destroyed in as many weeks. Each attack followed the same pattern. Sudden, overwhelming assault by invisible enemies, followed by complete disappearance of the attacking force. "Sir," his aide reported nervously, "intelligence suggests these attacks are coordinated. The timing, the tactics, the target selection, it all points to a single organization." Kethvar studied star charts showing the locations of recent attacks. They formed a pattern that stretched across the galaxy. Whoever was responsible had resources, intelligence and technology that should not. Dr. Susan Clark stared at the strange readings on her computer screen. For 3 months, she had been working with captured alien technology, trying to understand principles that seemed to defy human physics. But today, something had finally clicked into place. "Pete, come look at this," she called to engineer Pete Williams, who was working at a nearby bench. "I think I've found something incredible." Pete wiped grease from his hands and joined Susan at her workstation. The screen showed energy patterns unlike anything he had seen before. "What am I looking at?" "Phase variance readings from that Nexari ship we captured last month," Susan explained excitedly. "I've been studying their navigation systems, trying to figure out how they achieve such precise hyperspace jumps. But it's not just navigation. They're actually shifting their ships partially out of normal space-time." Pete leaned closer, trying to understand the implications. "You mean they're not completely in our reality?" "Exactly. But they're only using a fraction of the technology's potential. They use it for navigation accuracy. But what if we could extend the effect? What if we could shift a ship so far out of phase that it becomes completely undetectable?" In another section of the hidden laboratory, they had an unexpected ally working on similar problems. Vexatai was a Nexari scientist who had been captured during a raid 3 months earlier. Unlike other alien prisoners, he had become fascinated with human scientific methods. "Your species approaches problems differently than ours," Vexatai explained to Dr. Susan Clark during one of their daily research sessions. "We Nexari rely on intuition and mental connection to understand the universe. You humans use logic and experimentation. When we combine both approaches, the results are remarkable." Vexatai had been horrified to learn about the genocide of humanity. His people, the Nexari, had voted for the Crimson Protocol, but he had not understood what it truly meant. Seeing the survivors' courage and ingenuity had changed his perspective completely. "I want to help you," he told Susan. "Not just because I feel guilty about my people's actions, but because I believe humanity deserves to survive. Your species brings new ideas to the galaxy. Destroying that was wrong." Working together, the human and alien scientists made rapid progress. Vexatai's intuitive understanding of phase technology combined with human engineering principles to create entirely new possibilities. Within weeks, they had developed theoretical models for technology that neither species could have achieved alone. "Look at this." Susan showed Pete and Vexatai her latest calculations. "If we can generate a controlled phase variance field around a ship, we can make it exist partially outside normal space-time. It would be completely invisible to all known sensor types. More importantly, it could pass through solid matter like a ghost." Pete studied the technical specifications with growing excitement. "The power requirements are massive, but we captured enough alien power generators last month to build a prototype. How long would it take?" 3 months if we work around the clock," Susan replied. "But we need to test it carefully. One mistake could tear a hole in space-time itself." Meanwhile, in another hidden facility, Dr. Amy Foster was working on a different kind of breakthrough. The former teacher had become an expert in biology and medicine during the years since Earth's fall. Her current project focused on enhancing human physical capabilities to match alien advantages. Humans are naturally weaker and slower than most alien species, Amy explained to her research team. "In hand-to-hand combat, we're at a severe disadvantage. But what if we could change that?" She had been studying alien biology for months, learning how different species achieved their superior strength and speed. The Cathani had dense muscle fibers. The Vorth possessed redundant nervous systems that provided lightning-fast reflexes. The Nexari used mental powers to enhance their physical coordination. "I've developed a serum that can enhance human muscle density and nervous system efficiency," Amy announced. Early tests show increases in strength, speed, and reaction time of up to 300%. Ben Hayes volunteered to be the first test subject. The former Defense Force officer had been frustrated by his physical limitations during combat with alien soldiers. If this works, our ground forces will finally be able to fight them on equal terms. The enhancement process took 6 hours. Amy carefully injected the serum while monitoring Ben's vital signs. For the first hour, nothing seemed to happen. Then Ben began to feel changes throughout his body. "My vision is sharper," he reported. "Colors are more vivid. I can hear conversations from across the room, and I feel stronger." Initial tests exceeded all expectations. Ben could lift twice his normal weight. His reaction time had improved dramatically. His endurance seemed unlimited. Best of all, the effects appeared to be permanent. "We need to be careful about who receives this enhancement," Amy warned. "The psychological effects are significant. Enhanced individuals become more aggressive, more confident, sometimes to the point of recklessness. But the enhanced humans proved to be exactly what the Resistance needed. When enhanced soldiers led raids against alien installations, the results were devastating. Alien guards who had easily defeated normal humans found themselves outmatched by the enhanced fighters. Maria Santos was among the first to receive the enhancement treatment. The change in her combat effectiveness was remarkable. During a raid on a Zephyrian weapons facility, she single-handedly defeated 6 alien guards in close combat. "It's like fighting in slow motion," she reported after the mission. "I can see their attacks coming long before they arrive. My body responds faster than I can think." The combination of enhanced humans and advanced technology began to shift the balance of the underground war. Human raids became more daring and more successful. Entire alien installations were captured intact, providing even more resources for the Resistance. But the most significant breakthrough came when Pete Williams completed the first phase-capable warship. The vessel, named Retribution, was built using captured alien materials but designed with human innovations. It was smaller than alien battleships, but far more advanced. "Phase drive online," reported the ship's pilot during the first test flight. "We're partially shifting out of normal space." From the outside, Retribution appeared to flicker like a mirage. Sensor scans showed empty space where the ship should have been. Even visual observation was difficult. The ship seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. "Take us through that asteroid," ordered Captain Jake Morrison, who had been chosen to command the experimental vessel. The pilot hesitated. "Sir, that's solid rock." "Trust the technology," Jake replied calmly. Retribution flew directly toward a massive asteroid. Just before impact, the ship passed through the solid rock as if it were empty space. The phase field allowed the vessel to exist in a different dimensional state where normal matter could not touch it. "Incredible," breathed Pete Williams as he watched from the command center. "We've achieved something the aliens never imagined possible." The tactical implications were staggering. Phase-capable ships could appear inside enemy formations without warning. They could pass through planetary defenses as if they did not exist. They could strike targets and escape through solid matter, making pursuit impossible. Admiral Kethvar was reviewing intelligence reports when his aide brought disturbing news. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Arcturus base. The entire facility has gone silent." "Send a patrol to investigate," Kethvar ordered, without looking up from his reading. "We did, sir. The patrol ship found the base completely destroyed, all personnel dead. All equipment either destroyed or missing. But here's the strange part. There's no evidence of how the attackers got through the defensive perimeter. This got Kethvar's attention. Arcturus base was protected by energy shields, automated weapon platforms, and a full squadron of patrol ships. Nothing should have been able to approach without being detected. What do the sensor logs show? That's just it, sir. The sensors show nothing. No approaching ships, no weapons fire, no explosions. The base was intact one moment and destroyed the next. Similar reports were arriving from across the Empire. Military installations were being destroyed by invisible enemies. Supply convoys were disappearing without sending distress signals. Even heavily defended worlds were experiencing mysterious attacks that left no evidence of how they had been conducted. Intelligence estimates were facing a new type of enemy, Kethvar's aide continued. Someone with technology far beyond our current understanding. The High Council is requesting your immediate return to discuss response strategies. As Kethvar prepared to return to the capital, he did not realize that the enemy he feared was humanity, the same species he had tried to exterminate years earlier. The survivors had not just rebuilt their strength in the shadows. They had evolved into something far more dangerous than they had ever been before. In hidden bases across the galaxy, human scientists and engineers continued their work. Each day brought new discoveries. Each successful raid provided more alien technology to study and improve. The underground war had taught humanity to fight. The technological revolution was teaching them to win. Dr. Susan Clark stood in her laboratory, surrounded by the fruits of years. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the phase ship Retribution, watching the Zephyrian home system grow larger on his displays. 15 years had passed since he had been a simple colony ship captain. Now he commanded humanity's most advanced warship, leading an operation that would either free his people or destroy them completely. "All ships report ready," announced Communications Officer Rachel Moore. Her voice carried across encrypted channels to 30 other phase-capable vessels hidden throughout the system. Each ship carried enhanced human crews and weapons technology that surpassed anything the aliens possessed. Jake had been chosen to lead Operation Thunderbolt for good reason. He had survived the initial genocide, spent years organizing resistance cells, and proven himself in dozens of successful raids. More importantly, he understood that this mission was about more than military victory. It was about proving that humanity could not be destroyed. "Begin Phase 1, Jake ordered. Throughout the Zephyrian Empire, simultaneous attacks erupted across multiple star systems. The plan was ambitious beyond anything the human resistance had previously attempted. Instead of isolated raids on single targets, they would strike hundreds of military installations at the same moment. In the Vega system, Captain Ben Hayes led a squadron of enhanced soldiers against a major alien shipyard. His team materialized inside the facility's command center using personal phase generators, miniaturized versions of the technology that powered their ships. "Secure the facility," Ben ordered, as his soldiers spread out through the complex. The enhanced humans moved with supernatural speed and precision. Alien guards who tried to resist found themselves outmatched by opponents who were faster, stronger, and better equipped than anything they had faced before. The shipyard fell within minutes. Massive construction projects, alien dreadnoughts, that would have taken years to complete, were captured intact. The facility's alien workers surrendered immediately when they realized resistance was futile. "Phase generator online," reported the facility's chief engineer, now working under human supervision. "We can begin converting these ships to human specifications immediately." On the forest world of New Terra, Maria Santos led her enhanced fighters in a lightning assault on the planetary government center. Her team had studied the building's layout for months, planning their approach down to the smallest detail. "Remember, we want the alien administrators alive," Maria told her soldiers as they prepared for the attack. "They have information we need about other installations." The phase-equipped fighters passed through the building's walls like ghosts, appearing in secured chambers where alien officials thought they were safe. The psychological impact was devastating. The aliens had believed themselves to be the predators in this war. Suddenly, they found themselves being hunted by enemies who could appear anywhere without warning. But the most important target was the Zephyrian capital world itself. Captain Tony Martinez commanded a strike force tasked with capturing the planet's primary communication hub. Success would blind the alien empire to attacks happening across the galaxy. "Approaching the target," reported his pilot as their phase ship descended through the planet's atmosphere. "No sign we've been detected." The communication facility was a massive complex that coordinated military operations across hundreds of star systems. It was heavily defended by energy shields, automated weapons, and an entire division of elite alien troops. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a target would have been suicide. But these were not normal circumstances. Tony's ships phased through the facility's defenses as if they did not exist. His enhanced soldiers materialized inside secured areas that should have been impossible to reach. Within 30 minutes, the most important military installation in the alien empire was under human control. "All communication arrays secured," Tony reported to Admiral Morrison. "We have complete access to their military communication network." The psychological impact of Operation Thunderbolt was even greater than its military success. For years, the Zephyrian Empire had believed humanity was extinct. Suddenly, humans appeared to be everywhere at once, striking with technology that seemed impossible, and vanishing before effective resistance could be organized. Admiral Kethvar was in his private quarters when the alarms began sounding throughout the capital. He rushed to the command center, expecting to hear about another minor raid on some remote outpost. Instead, he found chaos. "Sir, we're receiving reports of simultaneous attacks across the Empire," his aide reported frantically. "Hundreds of installations are under assault. The enemy appears to be using some form of teleportation technology." Kethvar stared at the tactical displays showing the scope of the attacks. Red warning lights flashed across star charts as facility after facility reported either capture or destruction. "How many ships are we facing?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show empty space even when attacks are in progress. It's as if the enemy doesn't exist until they choose to reveal themselves." The Admiral's worst fears were being confirmed. The mysterious attacks of recent months had not been the work of random survivors. Humanity had somehow survived, rebuilt, and evolved into something far more dangerous than they had ever been before. "Who is coordinating these attacks?" Kethvar demanded. His aide hesitated before answering. "Intelligence believes it's the same species we attempted to eliminate 15 years ago. The humans appear to have survived in greater numbers than we thought. For the first time since the Great Cleansing, Kethvar felt genuine fear. He had seen the reports about human adaptability and technological innovation. If they had managed to develop technology superior to Zephyrian science, the Empire could be in serious danger. On the Bridge of Retribution, Admiral Morrison received success reports from strike teams across the galaxy. The first phase of Operation Thunderbolt had exceeded all expectations. Key military installations were under human control. Communication networks had been compromised. The alien empire's ability to coordinate a response had been severely damaged. Phase 2 is ready to begin, reported Dr. Susan Clark from her mobile command post. All teams are in position for the political phase of the operation. The second phase of Thunderbolt was perhaps even more ambitious than the military strikes. Human infiltrators would appear simultaneously in government centers across the Empire, delivering a message that would shake the alien alliance to its foundation. Enhanced human soldiers materialized in the chambers of the Zephyrian High Council, just as the three species leaders were meeting to discuss the crisis. The alien's shock was visible as figures in advanced armor appeared from empty air. "Don't be afraid," said the lead human infiltrator, removing her helmet to reveal the face of Dr. Amy Foster. "We're not here to hurt you. We're here to talk." The alien leaders sat frozen in their chairs, staring at what they had believed to be an extinct species. Amy continued speaking with calm authority. 15 years ago, you tried to wipe out humanity because you feared our expansion. You killed 15 billion innocent people, including children, elderly, and those who had never raised a hand in violence. You thought you had succeeded. Council Leader Mordak found his voice first. "Impossible. Our forces confirmed the complete destruction of human civilization." "Your forces were wrong," Amy replied. "Humanity survived. We adapted. We learned. And we became stronger than you ever imagined possible. The attacks you've experienced today are just a demonstration of our current capabilities." The Nexari representative, Telnara, reached out with her mental powers to probe Amy's thoughts. What she found made her recoil in shock. "This human speaks truth. Her people possess technology beyond our understanding. They could destroy us completely if they chose to do so." Amy nodded. "We could indeed destroy your civilizations, just as you tried to destroy ours. We have the power to eliminate your species from the galaxy, but we won't do that because we're not you." The Vorth delegate, Zixpol, clicked his mandibles nervously. "What do you want from us?" "Justice," Amy replied simply. "And change. The old order that allowed genocide to be committed in the name of political convenience is ending. Humanity survived your attempt to destroy us. Now we're offering you a choice." She activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Human-controlled systems glowed blue, while Zephyrian territory showed in red. The pattern revealed that key strategic positions throughout the Empire were now under human control. "You can fight us and lose everything, including your own species' survival. Or you can accept that the galaxy has changed. Humanity is no longer a collection of peaceful colonies you can attack without consequences. We are now the most powerful military force in known space." Council Leader Mordak leaned forward, studying the display. "You're offering us terms of surrender?" "We're offering you terms of coexistence," Amy corrected. "Humanity doesn't want to rule over other species. We want to build a galaxy where genocide is impossible because no single alliance controls enough power to attempt it." The political implications were staggering. If humanity truly possessed the military capabilities they claimed, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely. The three-species alliance that had dominated galactic politics for centuries was suddenly facing an opponent they could not defeat. 25 years had passed since the fire fell from the stars. Admiral Jake Morrison, now bearing the title President of the Human Galactic Federation, stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station. The massive space station hung in orbit, around New Earth, humanity's rebuilt capital world. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he watched ships from hundreds of different species arriving for the annual Federation Assembly. The man who had once been a simple colony ship captain was now the elected leader of the most powerful political organization in galactic history. His hair had turned silver with age, and lines marked his face from decades of difficult decisions. But his eyes still held the determination that had carried humanity through its darkest hours. "The Andromedan delegation has arrived," announced Captain Rachel Moore, now serving as Federation Communications Director. "They're requesting a private meeting before the formal assembly begins." Jake nodded, watching the sleek alien ships dock at the station's diplomatic ports. The Andromedans were a species from beyond the galaxy's edge, the first contact with truly foreign intelligence in over a decade. Their approach had been cautious but respectful. They had heard stories of humanity's resurrection and wanted to establish peaceful relations. "Schedule them for tomorrow morning," Jake replied. "Make sure they understand our basic principles. No species claims authority over others. No single alliance controls enough military power to threaten genocide. Everyone contributes to collective security." These principles had become the foundation of the new galactic order. The Human Galactic Federation was not an empire in the traditional sense. Humans did not rule over other species. Instead, they provided military protection and political coordination for a voluntary alliance of worlds that valued peace and independence. Dr. Lisa Grant, now elderly but still sharp, as the Federation's chief science advisor, joined Jake at the observation window. She had survived the original genocide by hiding in the caves of New Terra. Her scientific expertise had been crucial in developing the technologies that made human resurgence possible. "The memorial dedication is scheduled for this afternoon," Lisa reminded him. "The families of the lost are arriving from all over Federation space." Jake's expression grew solemn. Despite all their achievements, humanity had never forgotten the price of their survival. The memorial wall in New Geneva's Central Plaza listed the names of all 15 billion people who died in the original attacks. Every child in Federation space learned those names and the story of what had happened to them. "Any word from the old Empire territories?" Jake asked. "Still fighting among themselves?" Lisa replied sadly. "The Kethani and Nexari are engaged in another border war. The Vorth have declared neutrality, but are building military defenses around their homeworld. None of them will accept Federation membership or protection." This was the one failure that troubled Jake's conscience. Despite repeated offers of reconciliation, the three species that had once ruled the galaxy refused to join the new order they had created. Pride and guilt kept them isolated in their shrinking territories, nursing old grief. The emergency session of the Zephyrian High Council was unlike any in the Empire's 1,000-year history. The three species that had ruled the galaxy together now faced each other across a table littered with reports of military disasters and political chaos. Council leader Mordak slammed his fist on the metal surface. "This is the Nexari's fault. Their intelligence networks failed to detect human survivors. Their mental probes missed entire resistance organizations." Telnara's mental voice carried sharp anger as she responded. "Our psychic abilities cannot detect minds that have learned to hide from us. The humans developed mental shielding techniques we did not know were possible. Besides, it was Kethani military forces that failed to complete the original extermination." Zixpol clicked his mandibles in agitation. "Both of your species ignored Vorth warnings about human adaptability. We told you that destroying their homeworld would only make the survivors more dangerous. You chose not to listen. Admiral Kethvar watched the argument with growing despair. The unity that had held the Empire together for centuries was crumbling under the pressure of humanity's impossible return. Each species was blaming the others for the intelligence failure that had allowed humans to rebuild in secret. Arguing about the past will not solve our current crisis, Kethvar interrupted. We need to decide how to respond to human demands. The demands had been simple but revolutionary. Humanity wanted the Empire dissolved and replaced with a federation of equal species. War crimes tribunals would prosecute those responsible for the genocide. Reparations would be paid to human survivors. Most importantly, no single alliance would ever again possess enough military power to attempt genocide. Their terms are unacceptable, Mordak declared. We cannot allow a species we tried to destroy to dictate political arrangements to us. Can we defeat them militarily? Tel Nara asked. The silence that followed answered her question. Every military analyst had reached the same conclusion. Human phase technology made traditional warfare impossible. Their ships could appear anywhere. Without warning, their soldiers could materialize inside the most secure facilities. Conventional defenses were useless against enemies who existed partially outside normal space-time. Our fleets are still larger, Zixpol pointed out. If we could force them into open battle, they won't fight that kind of battle, Kethvar replied. They'll continue using guerrilla tactics, striking our facilities and disappearing before we can respond. They can destroy our infrastructure piece by piece while remaining untouchable themselves. The council chamber fell quiet as each member contemplated their impossible situation. Outside, reports continued arriving of human attacks across the Empire. Military bases were being captured or destroyed. Government centers were falling under human control. Supply lines were being severed by invisible raiders. But the most dangerous development was happening among the civilian populations of the three species. Word of humanity's return was spreading despite official censorship. Many citizens were beginning to question the original decision to attempt genocide. On the Vorth homeworld, protests erupted outside government buildings. Citizens demanded to know why their leaders had authorized the destruction of an entire species. The protesters carried signs reading "Never Again" and "Justice for Humanity." Similar demonstrations occurred on Nexari colonies. The psychic species were particularly affected by images of human children who had died in the original attacks. Many Nexari reported experiencing nightmares and guilt visions triggered by their species' participation in genocide. Even among the militaristic Kethani, voices of dissent were growing louder. Admiral Kethvar received reports of his own officers refusing orders to attack human civilian targets. "We are soldiers, not murderers," one captain had declared before defecting to join human forces. Captain Maria Santos was coordinating psychological warfare operations from her base on Haven. Her teams broadcast messages throughout alien space, revealing details about the original genocide that had been classified by their governments. "Citizens of the galaxy," her broadcasts began, "your governments told you that humanity was a threat that had to be eliminated. They showed you propaganda about human aggression and expansion, but they never showed you this." The broadcasts included recovered footage from the original attacks. Alien audiences watched in horror as orbital bombardments destroyed human cities filled with civilians. Children played in parks moments before energy beams turned them to ash. Families hugged each other as their homes burned around them. 15 billion people died. Maria's voice continued over images of the devastation. Not soldiers, not politicians, not militants, Ordinary people who had done nothing except exist in a galaxy where your leaders feared competition. The psychological impact was devastating. Many alien citizens had supported the original attacks because they believed humans posed a genuine threat. Learning that they had supported the murder of innocent families triggered massive guilt and anger throughout the Empire. Dr. Amy Foster led diplomatic missions to individual alien worlds, offering protection and autonomy to colonies that abandoned the Empire. Her enhanced negotiation teams could read alien body language and detect deception with superhuman accuracy. "We're not asking you to join humanity," Amy explained to the governor of a Vorth mining colony. "We're offering you the chance to govern yourselves without interference from the Empire or from us. All we ask is that you never again support genocide." Many colonies accepted these offers immediately. They were tired of wars decided by distant councils. They wanted peace and the chance to control their own destinies. Within months, dozens of worlds had declared independence and requested human protection. The Empire's response was predictably harsh. Loyal fleets were dispatched to bring rebellious colonies back under central control. But these fleets found themselves facing an enemy they could not fight effectively. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded the human fleet that defended the Vorth colony of New Prosperity. When Zephyrian warships arrived to reassert control, they found empty space where human ships should have been. "All ships, begin attack pattern Alpha," Morrison ordered. 30 phase-capable vessels materialized inside the alien formation without warning. The psychological impact was immediate. Alien crews who had never faced phase technology panicked at the sight of ships appearing from nowhere. The battle was one-sided. Human vessels could strike from any angle and disappear before return fire. Could be coordinated. Alien ships found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Alien Fleet Commander, this is Admiral Morrison," Jake broadcast on open channels. "You have 60 seconds to withdraw from this system, or we will destroy every ship in your formation." The alien commander, faced with technology he could not counter, chose discretion over valor. "All ships, retreat to hyperspace immediately." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy as human forces defended colonies that had chosen independence. The Empire's authority was collapsing as worlds realized they could break away without consequences. But the most significant blow came when entire alien fleets began defecting to the human side. Captain Vextai, the Nexari scientist who had helped develop human phase technology, convinced hundreds of his species' ships to join the rebellion against the Empire. "The Empire is built on a foundation of genocide," Vextai explained to his fellow Nexari officers. "How can we serve leaders who would order the extermination of an entire species? Humanity offers us a chance to build something better." The defections created a cascading effect. As more ships abandoned the Empire, remaining forces became stretched. Too thin to maintain control, rebellion spread from system to system as local governors declared independence rather than face human retaliation. Admiral Kethvar watched his empire disintegrate from his flagship's bridge. Intelligence reports painted a picture of complete systemic collapse. The Vorth had withdrawn most of their fleets to protect their homeworld. The Nexari were fighting a civil war between loyalists and rebels. His own Kethani forces were deserting in large numbers. "Sir," his aide reported, "the High Council is requesting your immediate return. They're considering negotiations with human representatives." Kethvar felt a bitter irony in the situation. He had authorized humanity's destruction to preserve galactic stability. Instead, his actions had created the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen and triggered the Empire's complete collapse. On the bridge of retribution, Admiral Morrison reviewed intelligence reports about the Empire's fragmenting state. The three-species alliance was breaking apart exactly as human strategists had predicted. Fear and mistrust were tearing apart bonds that had held for centuries. "The Cathani are blaming the Nexari for intelligence failures," reported Dr. Susan Clark. "The Nexari are accusing the Vorth of wanting to negotiate with us. The Vorth are claiming the other two species manipulated them into supporting genocide." "How many worlds have declared independence?" Morrison asked. "Over 300 so far," Susan replied. "Most of them are requesting human protection. Some want to establish their own governments. Others are asking to join a human-led federation." The speed of the Empire's collapse had surprised even human planners.